In a video I did a while ago, I talked about this JW video about the kingdom that I have seen a number of times from different JWs, and I suggested that I might want to do a little review video here for you guys, and got some positive response on that. So here it is, just sharing my thoughts. And I think the most obvious thing is that this is just, it's such a sales pitch, it's such a sales video, brochure, whatever you want to call it. And there's no gospel. It's just completely void of the gospel. The gospel of Jesus Christ, who died for wicked sinners to save us in his mercy and love, not through anything that we can do, but through everything that he has done, because he is a great God. That is not the God you're going to get in this video, sadly.
Throughout Jesus' ministry, he taught about God's kingdom more than any other subject. For centuries, his followers have prayed for that kingdom to come. But what is the kingdom? A kingdom is a type of government.
So this video starts off actually not too bad, something we can kind of agree with, because Jesus did talk about his kingdom a lot, because it's his kingdom, because he's the king, right? And shouldn't that be the point? But then when they ask what is the kingdom, the answer that they give is that the kingdom is a government. When has a kingdom ever been a government? The government rules over the kingdom, and Jesus is the king. He's the king who rules over his kingdom. Is this so hard to understand? But this is just another one of those things that Watchtower does, where it takes a word and twists it into something else. And that just breaks my heart, because witnesses are so excited about a kingdom that doesn't even exist, that they've been told all about.
A government includes a ruler, a seat of government, a territory that is ruled over, laws, and citizens. Sadly, many human governments fail to meet the needs of their people, advancing their own interests instead.
So first they're going to show us a sad picture of some people who are suffering, who are poor. People that the Watchtower doesn't care about at all. People that Jehovah's Witnesses never ever reach out to. I mean, even the Mormons do acts of kindness and service to help people in their societies, but Jehovah's Witnesses don't. They're completely separated, and they just show no concern whatsoever for them. And then, instead of dealing with that subject, they quickly run over to war. Let's be proud. We don't go to war. All those other people do. And maybe that's somehow connected with why there's poor people in the world, which it's really not. I mean, it can be, certainly, when there's unjust war in particular, but they're really two different subjects that are not directly related to each other. But Watchtower would have you believe that they are, right? Because, then you can just be like, well, we don't commit acts of war, so we're good. So we know what the kingdom really is.
In contrast, God's kingdom has the perfect ruler, Jesus, someone God himself chose to be king. God also selects others to be associate rulers with Jesus. This kingdom rules from heaven.
Yeah, interesting. Listen to that. This kingdom rules from heaven. A kingdom ruling. No, it's the king that rules. It's not the king plus his specific 144,000 Jehovah's Witnesses because Charles Taze Russell and Joseph Rutherford said so. Jesus is the king, and he's always been ruling. Again, contrary to what they teach. But they would have you think that there's this special group of men who are kind of almost equals with Jesus, and I think in some way they try to make themselves look even better than Jesus in their literature. And they're the good government. They're not perfect, and they could still sin and fall and, be, I guess, obliterated or whatever, but they're just still going to be a much better government because they don't do war, I guess. it just completely falls apart here. And it's so sad because they're trying to like bring you into this idea that a kingdom isn't really a kingdom. It's actually a government created of 144,000 Jehovah's Witnesses who will do a better job than the people that we see right now. Sad.
It receives its power and authority from God. Its domain will include the whole earth, eliminating problems caused by nationalism.
Eliminating the problems caused by nationalism. They're caused by nationalism, are they? What if they're actually caused by the very sinful nature of the human heart, each and every one of our hearts? Nationalism is just a natural thing that comes about when you're filling the whole earth. So it's not the problem, but they would have you believe that it is. So if you just listen to the music and just buy it and say that seems logical, then you'll be against having nations in this world. So you won't care about going to war to defend any nation because, nations are bad. Now, they are kind of right, of course, that, one day in the new heavens and the new earth, there won't be separated nations. There won't be war. We will all be under the king, and he will be our only king. We won't be separated into separate places that need to have distinctive cultures from each other. There may be different cultures, I don't really know, but at the same time, it won't be a divisive thing. And being a separate nation from another nation doesn't have to be a bad thing anyway. I mean, I live in Canada. I'm in the Canadian nation. Do I consider the UK to be a bad thing because it's not my nation? No. Or America? Or give me any other country, not necessarily. It's much more detailed than that. It doesn't have to do with just I'm my own nation, I belong to my own nation, and that's it, and everybody else is bad. That's just really not realistic, but they would have that kind of idea be painted in your mind so that you believe what they're trying to feed you here. It's really sad. So sad.
And anyone who obeys its laws can be a citizen.
Is it just me, or does that make it sound like anyone who obeys the watchtower? Yeah, I think that's what they're kind of getting at. I think that's a fair assumption.
How will the kingdom benefit its citizens?
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to stop this already. How will it benefit us? It's not about how is God glorified. It's not about him. It's about you and what you can get. That's what they really want to do. They want to reel you in with how they can make you feel better and look forward to this supposed secondary hope that they're trying to promise you. It's not biblical. And it completely misses the point. It's man-focused, not God-focused. It should be all about him, not about us and what we can get.
When on earth, Jesus showed through his miracles what God's kingdom would do. When Jesus calmed a storm, he showed that as king, he will control Earth's natural forces, solving environmental problems. By miraculously feeding thousands, he demonstrated that the kingdom will eliminate world hunger. When Jesus healed the sick, lame, deaf, and blind, he gave us a preview of the perfect health that all will enjoy under his rule.
Well, biblically, if you just read the Gospels and Acts, what you'll see is that Jesus was actually proving himself. He was showing his power over his creation. He was the only one ever to be able to calm the storm. And he raised the dead, yes, and he healed the sick, and he fed people. He did all these amazing things. These are miracles that point to him. They don't just point to what's coming in the future. Yeah, there's a way that you could see that, but ultimately, his purpose right then and there was to show people who he was. This is why they were so amazed, so blown away that he could calm the storm. The only one in all of history, which the Jews knew at that time, who was able to calm the storm, to change the weather, is Jehovah himself. And then Jesus comes, and that's what he does. You know, that's why they were so blown away. This is not just a, oh, look, we have something fun to look forward to one day. The weather will be much better and we'll have more food and we won't have to be crippled anymore and, you know, all these kinds of that's not what it's about. They've missed the point. Yes, I'm excited to look forward to all of those things being better one day. But they've still missed the point, and it's Christ and who he is. They don't care about that. He's a footnote for them.
And by resurrecting people, he showed that through the kingdom, he will reverse death itself.
Again, nothing here about Jesus and what he did, the great sacrifice that he made in his mercy and his love. None of that there. Just, oh, Jesus reversed it. Isn't that nice? It'll be so much better one day, and it'll be better for all of us. And actually, you don't really have to do anything. You don't have to repent. You don't have to turn to him alone. Trust him for salvation. Trust his full finished work on the cross, or they prefer to call a stake, which I don't really care either way. But they miss it completely. It's just a, oh, it'll be much better. Death will be gone one day. They don't even mention sin. They don't care that sin is the reason why we have death. That if you want to see death gone, sin has to be conquered. It has to be atoned for, paid for, ransomed for. None of that in this video, though. We're keeping it light and fluffy and ignoring the entire gospel.
You may wonder, when will God's kingdom rule the earth? How can you support God's kingdom now?
So, as Watchtower likes to do, they tell you what questions you should be asking. Here's how you seal the deal. It's a pure 101 sales pitch going on right here. Very sad. I wonder if any Jehovah's Witnesses ever realize when they're sharing this video how much of a sales pitch it really is. But not to worry. Now that they've told you what questions you should be asking, they're going to give you the answer. And what do you think it is?
To learn more about what the Bible says on this and many other topics, go to jw.org.
So those are my thoughts on this light, fluffy little video that they love to show you when they're out in field service. And some thoughts that you might want to bring up. If you do, I would suggest bringing them up in question form. I know I didn't do it here, but if you want to get through to them and let them still feel like they're being the teachers, that is the best way to address these things. So yeah, I would definitely approach it in question form whenever possible. And please, please let me know in the comments if you do or if you have ever talked with JWs about this video and given some interesting responses to help try and get them thinking and waking up. Thanks for listening, and God bless.